of Jerusalem in the Second Temple period. You might be familiar with it. It's located in the Israel Museum for so many years now. But before that, I have to, I just have to share with you the event of the last 4 hours for me. And this is also why I had to change the name originally. So the thing is that since we have no tourists and since we have no job, basically, so we the tour guides, we try to entertain each other. And today, a full bus of tour guides, Russian-speaking tour guides, were the guests of our colleagues in Bethlehem. So our colleagues are Russian-speaking Palestinian guides. One of them happened to be married to a Russian Christian girl. She's no girl. I mean, they're married for the last 30 years or so. But anyhow, he studied in Russia 30 years ago. So just as many other Arabs from Palestine and from Israel done for the years. And anyhow, they met, they fell in love, they got married, they graduated, and they moved to Bethlehem. And so now both of them are tour guides in Russian, and they invited us as their partners and colleagues, from all over Israel, to join them in Bethlehem and another location, which is called Batir, which has to do with the Jewish history, with the Bar Kokhba revolt. And anyhow, it was an amazing tour. I took so many photos, and I guess you will be joining me virtually in the future to tour Bethlehem, because there's actually so much more to it than just, the Bethlehem Star. There's more than Jesus to it. So anyways, it was all good. And we were supposed to be back in Jerusalem by 5 the latest. So basically I had plenty of time to get home and, start the presentation. It did not happen. It did not happen simply because, things take time. And anyway, I realized that I will never make it home. So I called Sharona, my friend and colleague, her, yeah. and I asked her to do the presentation for me, the presentation she's about to do 2 weeks from now. And she said, listen, but why won't you come to my place and, just use my computer? And said, okay, fine. And so I took the last train, which made it to, the closest possible. And here I am. I just arrived 5 minutes ago. Therefore, I have a glass of water here. I'm all excited. I'm full of, I'm on my way since. Great, Steve. What do you have there? Is it Coke?
Iced tea.
I need a glass of wine, Julia.
Wine, Julia. That's good.
Well, that was previous presentation. Come on. Anyway, so no, it's crazy because it took me 4 hours to make it from Bethlehem to Kfar Saba. Okay, which is basically enough from Tel Aviv. That's enough time for me to make it from Ben Gurion Airport to Rome. But that's, Roman Empire, whatever. Here we go. But the benefit is that I will be able to share a few really beautiful photos taken 2-3 hours ago. Okay, I am sharing my screen. Can you see my screen now? You are supposed to see. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You can see Sharona behind me. She's checking on me and her. Hi.
Thank you, Sharona, for letting Pamela.
Actually, I'm having great time here. I mean, she was welcoming me with coffee and water and a computer, and it's just the two of us. There's a delicious smell of soup around here. So anyway, okay. So, what you see in front of you now, this is what Jerusalem looks like today, and it's gonna be looking the same for the next almost 3 weeks, because in Jerusalem we celebrate Christmas according to the Catholics, according to the Greek Orthodox, and according to the Armenians. Okay, so we have plenty of time because the Armenian Christmas will not take place before January 15th. All right, so here we go. So we have the Christmas tree, and we have a dog dressed like Santa Claus. Can you see the little black dog here? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, and then this is the Santa Claus home, Jerusalem, Santa, ho, ho, Holy Land. Okay, his name is Isa. And this is the photo. This is my favorite. This is Jerusalem by night, by Christmas. The old city and Mount of Olives. So it is such a pity you are not here with me. I mean, it is so beautiful. I mean, it's better than ever. Okay, but all I can do is share it with you via Zoom. And why don't I? Okay, all right. So here we start. Now let's get really to business. We are going to do our part 2 of the greatest feast of the Jerusalem Israel Museum, the model of Jerusalem, the Second Temple period. I'm Julie Newman. This is my email, and this is a pay as you wish tour, as always, and I will appreciate your donations. Having said that, let's take a look. So for those of you who have not been to our previous tour, which was exactly the same location, the Israel Museum, just a very brief orientation. You can see road number 1. This is the main road to get into Jerusalem, coming from the west, coming from Tel Aviv. And here, this is the Machane Yehuda market, the famous, the delicious place to get rugelach and other stuff. This is the old city. You can see the cross. It says the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. It's just the main landmark of the old city. And here we are. The red part is the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. Okay, so we're basically in the center of time, not far away from the Herzl Museum, Mount Herzl, and etc. So this is the same photo I've shared with you last time, because this is what you see as you enter the Israel Museum. When was it? A week ago? Feels like a century. A week ago, we walked straight forward and upstairs, and then we made it to this almost totally eaten apple, and then we entered the Archaeological Wing. This time, we will walk just a little bit straight forward, and then we take a right upstairs and further to the right. And, okay, this is an aerial photo. We are coming from the right-hand side of the slide, and this white round thing, okay, this is the lid. This is the top, the roof of the Shrine of the Book. So down below, this is where the Dead Sea Scrolls are stored, which is a totally different, amazing story. And then from here, we walk left and left and left. And then we are facing the whole model of Jerusalem of the Second Temple period. Okay, so now we will be landing. And as we are landing, here we are. We are standing on a little terrace, which represents Mount of Olives, which means that we are approaching the model, we are approaching Jerusalem, as the archaeologists understand it looked like back then, 70 AD. So we are looking at Jerusalem from the east, from Mount of Olives, which is the best location to start looking at Jerusalem. I really hope that you've all been to the actual Mount of Olives, and you do recall how amazing it is. So just a few words about the model itself. It was designed by one of the greatest, one of the most important ever Israeli archaeologists, Professor Michael Avi Yonah, who passed away back in 1974. And he started designing, imagining, dreaming this model back in 1962. As you can see here, the model was built mainly during these 4 years, 62 to 66, which is very important. You see that I placed the 2 pluses here. Well, that's because if you think of it, Professor Avi Yonah, being an Israeli Jewish, he could not excavate. He could not perform any archaeological excavations in the old city of Jerusalem, which is exactly where Jerusalem of the Second Temple used to be, which means that he was basing his model upon mostly 90% upon the descriptions made by Josephus Flavius 2,000 years ago and the descriptions in the Mishnah and the Talmud, which means that when the old city of Jerusalem was united with West Jerusalem, where Jerusalem became one united capital of the state of Israel, and the excavations began, well, only then he realized and others realized that a model is not 100% accurate. Actually, there are quite a few mistakes there. And therefore, the model was adjusted to the finds, you see. So even though it was built before 1966, before 1967, but it was made better and better. And yet, one of my students, she was a student of history and archaeology a few years ago, and she said that their professor of archaeology would bring them to the model and say something like, well, you have 2 minutes to find 12 mistakes. So it is not 100%, but this is the best by far we have. So you have the size here, which is almost 1.5 acres. The scale is 1 to 50. The time, I mean, again, this is what we believe Jerusalem looked like back in 70 AD, if you wish, a minute before the destruction of the temple. Okay, the minute when the glory was over. And the whole thing is thanks to Professor Aviona. Okay, so the model has quite a few walls. It is a bit complicated, so I just want us to take a general look, okay? You can see the blue line here, okay? The blue line is the first, so-called first wall, Hasmonean, which is on top of King Hezekiah's wall. This is how it all started. The city of David is actually included in this first wall. And then King Herod the Great built the second wall, which is the red one, okay, which made Jerusalem a bit larger. And then the third wall was added and finalized just before the Great Revolt against the Romans started, and this is the green wall, okay? So all in all, a minute before the destruction of the temple, Jerusalem was everything inside the green line and the blue line down below, which is south, all right? And you can see the black strips, okay? The black wall here down below, and another black wall up here, up north, and then a little bit on the left-hand side. These are the old city walls of today. This is what we now call the old city. So what you can see is that the old city is approximately half size of Jerusalem back then in the Second Temple period. Okay, so it grew bigger and bigger, and there was a mess of walls at some point. So this is the old city as we are familiar with it today. We have the Temple Mount. This is the yellow sort of square, and then the brown large part is the Muslim quarter. The green one is a Christian quarter, which is the best one to tour today because of Christmas, and then the purple is the Armenian, and the bluish is the Jewish. Okay, that's what we are familiar with today. So let's get started. Let's focus on the most important part of what I am trying to do today, is to follow the model and to show you what happened to these places, certain places on the model. I mean, what does it look like today? If you walk the model in reality, what will you see? So I decided to start from the most important, the greatest, the holiest, and this is the temple, of course. This is what the temple looked like according to the model, according to Josephus Flavius and the Jewish scriptures. All right, right in the middle of the Temple Mount. Well, I guess, yeah, this is when we get a bit closer. Okay, this is the holiest of the holy with the beautiful golden top up here. Nobody is, of course, allowed to enter except of the priest on Yom Kippur. This is what you see standing on top of Mount of Olives today, overlooking the old city. I'm sure you've guessed that the holiest of the holy and the entire temple is right here where this Dome of the Rock mosque, one of the holiest places for the Muslims, is located. So if we take a closer look, which is something we are allowed to do even without being Muslims, this is the Dome of the Rock with the golden, beautiful, shining dome, with the Armenian ceramics, with the Armenian tiles, which were made during the British Mandate to redecorate and make the holy place even more beautiful. Well, I will not say that much about the Dome of the Rock Mosque, even though it deserves a full presentation, of course, but I will just say two things. One is the fact that this is the oldest existing mosque in the world, the oldest one, which was built back in 691 AD, of course. And the second is that every Muslim, no matter where, who prays 5 times a day, he actually refers in his mind to here, to the Dome of the Rock, because according to the Muslims, when Muhammad made it to the foundation rock, which is our Jewish tradition, he ascended to heavens and brought the 5 daily prayers. So if we enter, which we're not allowed to do, this is only for Muslims to do, but every Muslim in the world is welcome, except of COVID time, of course. So this is the foundation rock. This is the first rock of creation. And this is the rock of binding of Isaac. And this is the rock under which the entire water of the flood, this biblical flood, which Noah and his family survived, and a pair of each creature. This is the rock where the water of the floods made it down below, and this is how the world was saved eventually. And according to the Muslims, this is the rock from which Muhammad ascended to heavens. So this is...
I'm interfering. Because my Facebook and WhatsApp are on, you're getting a beep every time I get a WhatsApp.
Okay.
So would you like me to get out of it from my computer before you continue?
Did you
are the beeps bothering anybody?
Do you hear the beeps, ladies and gentlemen? Do you hear? Yes? Okay.
No.
So Sharona will do something to eliminate it in a sec. Let's go to the bottom. No. Okay. Well, so hopefully now we will hear no more beeps. I hope so. Let's give it a try. Okay. All right. So that was the Dome of the Rock. And once again, we're looking at the Temple Mount. This time we're taking a look to the left, and this is the lobby. This is actually the entrance hall. This is where a visitor to the Temple Mount, or at least most of them, will first make it from the left-hand side, from the Golgotha Gate. So today we have this long structure with a gray roof and a gray rustic dome. Okay, this is another very well-known photo. I guess you recognize it. This is the 3rd holiest mosque in the world, and this is called El Aksa. While down below, we have the Golgotha stairs, we have the Golgotha Gate, we will be back to it, and we have this amazing archaeological complex, which is known as the Davidson Park. Okay, but back to El Aksa. We are getting closer. This is a structure which was originally built by the Crusaders. It was built by the Crusaders. The Crusaders are Christians, of course. And so originally that was built as a cathedral. It was built as a church. Well, there was a previous, an older mosque, but as we walk the Temple Mount today, this is the structure we see. And that structure belongs to the Crusaders, which was later adopted by the Muslims. And the cathedral became the third holiest mosque in the world. So we are taking a right. We are facing this beautiful facade of the mosque. And this is the closest we can get without being Muslims, because the rest of it, okay, this is the inside of the mosque. And unfortunately, I mean, I hope you can see how pretty it is. It is actually even better in reality. But this is open to Muslims only, and you have to be able to prove that you are a Muslim. Otherwise, it's off limits for you. It's a political decision, because before the last intifada, the so-called intifada of Al-Aqsa, you know, the uprising back in 2001, everybody could enter the mosque. And this is why I can tell you for sure that this place is so beautiful, because I've been there for, you know, so many times. But then we had the intifada, and then we had, well, you know, politics is politics. And actually, you know, we are sorry about it, because we cannot visit. And quite a few Muslims actually heard him saying that they are so sorry that this is the case, because until 2001, like 20 years ago, you had to pay $6 for a ticket, which is, you know, fair enough. I mean, I would be happy to pay $6, but I cannot pay the $6, and they cannot benefit from the huge amount of money they got, you know, because there's so many. Anyhow, it is a lose-lose situation, and that's how it is. That's just the end of it. Now, after looking at the Temple Mount, let's take a look at the outside of the Temple Mount. And here we have a gate, which was one of the gates leading to the Temple Mount and the temple itself. And this is, well, back then, it was called the Gate of Shoshan. Okay, Shoshan is a rose. We are not sure why exactly, but that was the name, okay, the Shoshan Gate. It did not survive, even though the eastern wall is there. But instead of the Gate of Shoshan, approximately the same location, maybe a little bit to the right, we have another gate, which is here. Okay, this is the gate on the left-hand side. This is the outside the outside facade. I mean, as we are standing on Mount of Olives, looking west towards the Temple Mount, this is what we see. This photo was taken from the Garden of Gethsemane, which is at the footsteps of Mount of Olives. This is a beautiful view. Anyhow, we can see this gate blocked and sealed and totally inaccessible. And this gate today is known as the Gate of Mercy. Shara Rachamim in Hebrew, the Gate of Mercy, because the tradition says that when Messiah will come, and as we all know, Messiah will come from Mount of Olives, when Messiah will approach the gate, so the gate will be reopened, you know, by miracle. And then the mosques will disappear, and the temple, the third divine temple, will land from heavens to earth. So we are all looking forward to the approach of Messiah. In the meanwhile, the Gate of Mercy is locked and sealed. And if you look at the same gate from the other side, okay, now if we are, suppose we made it to the Temple Mount, so on the other side, here, you can take a look at the right, and you will see what the gate looks like from the side of the Temple Mount. You walk downstairs, you have these two entrances, two arches into the closed part of the gate, and inside here you have a mosque, another mosque inside of the Gate of Mercy. Let's proceed. So the Temple Mount is here on the slide on the right, and right next to it on its left-hand side, you can see a longer red mark, and that red mark actually circles the city of David, the most ancient part of Jerusalem, which was all it was to Jerusalem when King David approached the Jebusite city and conquered the citadel of Zion and created Jerusalem as his capital. So this is the Harp of David, the symbol of David, the symbol of the city of David, which you're probably familiar with. And just to mention, I mean, we can tour the city of David. We already had a presentation about the city of David, so it's not the right time to repeat. But one thing I just, I cannot ignore, and this is this. You can see a little square pool. Actually, again, it was not fixed. It was not altered, but we know that the pool, the Siloam pool did not look exactly like that, but okay, it is here on the model. But this is what the little remains of the pool of Siloam in the city of David look like today. This is exactly what you see when you finally exit the Siloam tunnel or the Hezekiah tunnel, that tunnel full with cold water, dark tunnel, which saved Jerusalem during the Assyrian invasion. And after walking upstairs from the tunnel and then walking downstairs, you proceed to the photo, which I hope you can see on the left. And these are the stairs of the Siloam pool in the times of King Herod. Now, we know for sure, because it was excavated, that this is what the stairs of the Siloam pool looked like a minute before the destruction of the temple. But these stairs were found by an accident less than 20 years ago. And of course, Professor Aviona had no idea about that. But the location of the pool is almost 100% correct. Now, another very recent find, you can see this black star. And the black star here is located on a certain spot along the wall. This is the eastern wall, which protected the Jebusite city. I mean, this is the wall which King David saw, and this is the same wall King Hezekiah saw, and this is the same wall which was used by the Hasmoneans as a basement for their wall they built. In other words, this is the same wall which existed in the times of the Second Temple. Okay, but the origin is the First Temple. Why do I talk so much about that? Because these three gentlemen, the three archaeologists, they are the ones who actually excavated and examined this spot on this wall. This is the wall you see behind them in the city of David today. It's not yet open to the public, but this is the wall which faced and partly was ruined during the destruction of the First Temple. And this is according to the latest scientific examinations and understandings. So we know exactly where this wall is, right here on the model. And this is the wall from the First Temple period. I mean, this is the wall which saw King David, which is pretty amazing, I believe. So we now move a little bit to the south. I mean, the model is actually located according to the real north and south. So we move a little bit south of the model, and now we're facing the southern wall of the Temple Mount. So in here, we can see the Huldah gates, the locked and sealed gates. Well, to be honest, these gates are the exact location of the Second Temple period gates. These gates, okay, I hope you can see the arches. You are supposed to be able to see 3 arches. And then you can see that these arches, which used to be entrances, they are now blocked and sealed, and okay, they became a wall. So these arches were built much later during the Muslim period, but this is the exact location of the Huldah gates. And inside well, we cannot get from here, but we can, being Muslim, enter from the Temple Mount, and then we can see the structures which were built by King Herod the Great. So these are the Holy Gates, and we can actually visit the archaeological park and sit right in front of these gates. Now, another amazing part is here. This is the southwest corner of the Temple Mount wall. And here you can see something which might look like a bridge. Okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. This is a better example from another model, which what I'm trying to make you see. This is the arch. This is the staircase, which is now known as the Robinson Arch. You can see the arch here. That was the supporting, the retaining arch, which was holding the staircase, which was used by the pilgrims, the Jewish pilgrims, in the times of the Hasmoneans and King Herod, better to say, to ascend and enter the Temple Mount. Now, the whole structure was ruined during the Great Jewish Revolt, and all we have left, okay, this is what the same corner looks like today. You can see the gray dome of the Aksa Mosque. You can see the southern wall. You can see the western wall, which will become the Kotel in the end of the slide. Okay, we don't have the Kotel here, but we do have this southern part of the western wall. And if we take a closer look, this is what we will see. Okay, it's not much. You can actually see some rocks which look as if they're glued to the wall. But these are the remains of this huge Robinson Arch, the greatest staircase of the ancient times. And all we need to do now is imagine that we don't have a solid wall above the rock, but rather a gate. And we keep imagining that if we enter that gate, so we will see the temple. Right at the footsteps of the Robinson Arch, we have this rock, which is the replica of the actual rock which was found down below, which apparently fell from the top of the mount. And it says lebet hatki'ah lehach, and then it's broken. So we believe that it says lebet hatki'ah lehachoriz, and that means to the place of trumpeting, because we know that before the Shabbat, people did not have a watch, so they needed somebody to tell them that, hey, you have to go home and prepare for Shabbat. So there was somebody whose duty was to use a trumpet and to do the turum, turum, come back from the fields. And, well, this is, for me, this is one of the most amazing finds, which are on display in the archaeological wing of the Second Temple period, and it was found right below the Robinson Arch. So we can almost feel the destruction of Jerusalem back in 70 AD. Oops, something went wrong with this slide. Sorry, I apologize. Something was wrong with the slide. What I want you to see here, you can see this young gentleman who is a well-known archaeologist and historian of Jerusalem, Dr. Shmuel Bahat. And he's standing next to a wall, which is a ruined fraction of the same first wall which protected Jerusalem during the Babylonian invasion. And this is something which is called the Israelites Tower, as you see. It is located in the Jewish quarter, in the present day Jewish quarter, not far from the Horva synagogue, but somehow, it is off the beaten track. So most people, no matter how many times they've been to the Jewish quarter and walked by the Horva synagogue to the Kotel, then never take a left. But if you do take a left for maybe 2 minutes walk, okay, and then you get a key, and then you walk downstairs into the basement of a modern building, okay, you can see the retaining pillars of the modern building where modern Jews live. You will make it to the basement, and this is where this Israelite Tower is located. Now we know exactly on the model where was it, and we can see it in reality. Again, one of the most amazing evidences of the ancient life, ancient reality of Jerusalem. So next time you make it to Jerusalem, I suggest you visit the tower. Our next stop will be, okay, we are, there's no way we can get too far away from the Temple Mount. So this is the Temple Mount once again, and we've just been to the southern part, like behind, and now we are standing in front of the northern, just next to the Temple Mount, but right to the north. Again, we're at the model, and what you see here are two adjacent squares. These are two ponds, okay, two huge water reservoirs, which are known as the pools of the sheep. Okay, that's how they are described by Josephus Livius. And that's what the area looks like on an aerial photo. We have the Bethesda Pools. Okay, this is the Christian name of the same place. The pools of the sheep became the Bethesda Pools. Right next to it, we have the ruins of the Crusaders Monastery, and right next to it, we have the ruins of a Byzantine church, which is right next to a modern church of Saint Anne. Okay, the whole complex belongs to the White Fathers. This is a Catholic denomination of priests. And if we get closer, that's what we'll see. We are now looking at the inside upper part of the pools. This is one of the most amazing and one of the least visited archaeological sites in Jerusalem. It is located just a bit north of the Temple Mount, as I said, inside the Muslim quarter, present-day Muslim quarter. And it's right along the Via Dolorosa, the way of the cross. So the only people who happen to visit are Christian pilgrims, but no reason. I mean, more people should see it. So this is St. Anna's Church at the Bethesda Pools. If you ask yourself about the names, okay, so St. Anne is the grandmother of Jesus, of Yeshua. She is the mother of Virgin Mary. And according to the Catholic tradition, she was born right here in Jerusalem, right next to the Bethesda Pools. And the meaning of the word Bethesda, this is a name from the New Testament. And Bethesda is a mispronunciation of the Aramaic name, which is Beit Chisda, which means the house of mercy. Why? Well, because Jesus made an amazing miracle right there. Okay, I will spare you the exact story of the miracle, but you just believe me that there was a miracle. So this is the pools of the mercy. Now we are standing in front of the church on the left-hand side, and then we enter the church on the right-hand side. And this is the best place in Jerusalem, the best place in Israel, one of the best places in the world. Okay, it's not me, it's the experts for singing, because the church was built by the Crusaders and the acoustics is unparalleled. So I would like us to listen to just a few, for a very short song inside this church.
המודלים החדשים של ה-FBI למשא ומתן עם חוטפים. שיטות השכנוע של האנשים שחיים כמו סוקרטס. משולש הזמנים של אריסטו ואומנות הוויכוח.
Okay, sorry. Okay, Ave Maria at the birthplace of Mary, of a mother. Okay, so don't you think that she is a professional singer? I mean, she was just a random tourist led by a friend of mine, a tour guide, Tzachi Shaked, and she just started singing, you know, and the acoustic made it into, well, I don't know, I think it's just beautiful. So, and of course, for the Christians, especially for the Catholics, this is such an amazing place because this is where Santa Anna used to live, and this is where Virgin Mary was born. So here we are at the Bethesda Pools, and now we move just a little bit further, just a tiny little bit, and you will see this huge fortress, huge citadel, which is glued to the northwest corner of the Temple Mount. And this is the citadel which was called the Antonia Fortress. The Antonia Fortress, which used to protect Jerusalem. And actually, when this was conquered and ruined, so that was the end of Jerusalem. Antonia Fortress does not exist today, of course. And instead of the Antonia Fortress, which is standing exactly where the Via Dolorosa starts, because this is in Antonia Fortress, where Jesus was condemned to death. So again, for Christians, this is such an amazing sight. But for locals, it is a school. This is the Omaria Muslim school for boys. That's all it is. So every day, school kids would enter this gate, the blue gate on the left, and they will study whatever it is. This is the inside inner courtyard of the school. And here on the left, you can see students from overseas who were volunteering in this school teaching science just a few years ago when it was still possible, you know, another way to volunteer and donate and do good. So every morning, kids will enter the school and study. And then when they go home, the school becomes a major tourist attraction because then the tourists can enter the same blue gate and walk to the second floor. And then they can make it to this corner. And through the windows in this corner of a school, you can look and see the golden dome of the mosque. Okay, so if you don't feel like struggling with the lines and queues and the opening hours of the Temple Mount, all you have to do is to wait till the end of the school day, and then you can be right next and even above the Temple Mount. So this is a great location, and every now and then tourists will be sitting on this bench and you know, reflecting and thinking about the temple. So this is a closer look at the same corner. You can see, yeah, now you can see Sharona's kids. Sharona took her kids just recently to the Temple Mount, and the guy in the middle, this is Tavo, this is her older son, who will be recruited a week from today. Oh my God. And then his brother Bental and their uncle on the left. And you can see that they're sitting and reflecting, and the Golden Dome is behind them. And normally, these are the crowds all over the place down the Via Dolorosa. Not today. Okay, but since we were talking about the Via Dolorosa and the crucifixion of Jesus, so the next landmark we must visit is located just west from the Antonia Fortress. Okay, I hope you can see the 4 towers of the Antonia Fortress at the corner of the Temple Mount. And inside this red mark, well, if you look closer, you will not see much. Okay, you will not see much because it was just a quarry. That quarry became the holiest church in the world, and this is the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. These are the 2 great domes on top of what used to be a quarry during the Second Temple period, and that quarry was used for a crucifixion. So one rock of that quarry became the so ill-famous Golgotha, the Golgotha Hill, which is inside the Church of the Holy Sepulcher. These are just a few, photos from the Church of the Holy Sepulcher, the tomb of Jesus, the rock where he believed to be anointed, and then down below, this is the Golgotha. You actually walk upstairs, and you can see and even touch, if you wish, the place of the crucifixion. So this is the holiest of the holy, and for the Christians today. And all we can see on the model is, a few rocks. Our next stop, okay, once again, you can see the Antonia Fortress. You can see the quarry right next to it here on the left. And now, in this red mark, you can see a tower, another tower, and there is a smaller one behind it, which you don't really see now. This is here, a better view, okay? And here it is. This is what it looks like today. This is the Jaffa Gate and the Tower of David. The Jaffa Gate from outside. This is the fortress which was built by the Hasmoneans and used by the Arabs and reused by the Crusaders, and then it was used by the Ottomans, and then it was used by the Brits. And today we have the Tower of David Museum, dedicated to the history of Jerusalem, which is being renovated as we speak. And of course, we can see this tower, which belongs to the mosque, which used to be here, which has nothing to do with the towers built by King Herod the Great. If you have been to Jerusalem, so you might have been to the Light and Sound show, which is there every night, except the Friday nights, of course, being displayed on the walls of the Tower of David. So if we will take a little look. Okay. So if you have been there, you remember how beautiful it is. Actually, we have two different night spectaculars today. Both are so pretty. Sometimes it is freezing, because you sit outdoors watching this beautiful show on the walls of the ancient tower. And, sometimes wintertime, all you can think of is a blanket. But if you are properly dressed, so it is a nice spectacular. So next time you are in Jerusalem, B'Shana B'Avi Yerushalayim, God willing, I recommend you enjoy the show. All right. So we have been more or less around the Temple Mount this other way. Now we will take a left. I mean, we are walking north, and now we are walking north along this wall. This is the third wall. This is the last and final wall, which was built just shortly before the destruction of the temple. Okay. And you can see a tower here. This tower is described by Josephus Flavius, and we know where it is. You can see that this is the northwest corner of the city. Okay, and the tower did not survive to our days, of course. We will take a closer look at it yet. Okay, that's what we believe it looked like. Anyhow, a watchtower protecting the wall. And well, where is it? What do we see today? If we make it there, we will not see a tower. We will see this. I don't know if you recognize, but this is a very important location, a very central location. This is the city hall. This is the Jerusalem City Hall, which is called as the Saffron Square. And what you see here on the right, okay, it's a weird pink, purple color building with yellow, green shutters. It's not the real color, okay? The real color is like, cream whitish, same as the rest of Jerusalem. But now for Christmas, they did want to decorate the city hall. So you can see these lights here. We don't have a Christmas tree because, hey, this is Jerusalem, but we do have very special colors and lightings. And for who knows why, but they decided to just put lights on this building, some projection on it. So it became weirdly painted, but very beautiful, very special. And by the way, here, you cannot read it. It's the yellow inscription here. It's actually the lighting of an actual inscription, which is there. And it says in Russian language, it says the Russian hospital. So that has to do with the history of the city hall and the whole area, which is known as the Russian compound, because back in the 19th century, this plot of land was purchased by the Russian Tsar of Russian Empire for the Russian pilgrims, and they built a hospital for them. So this hospital looks like that today because of Christmas. And this is actually part of the city hall. Okay, now we just saw where the tower used to be, and now from the tower we walk along this third wall. We walk to the left. I mean, we are walking east back towards Mount of Olives, and at some point we reach the Damascus Gate, the present day Damascus Gate, the Damascus Road. And just near the Damascus Gate, we can see this huge chiseled rocks. You see, there is a large chiseled rock here. There is another one less chiseled here. And right next to it, behind the wall, we have a petrol station of Paz. So these chiseled rocks belong to the third wall. So we know exactly where Jerusalem ended in the Second Temple period. And so the street, which is right next to the chiseled rocks of the third wall, is called Rehov HaChoma HaShlishit. You can see it here in English. Rehov HaChoma HaShlishit means the street of the third wall. That's it. So it starts in the Muslim neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah, the one which was recently, repeated and again the news. And if you start walking from Sheikh Jarrah straight west back towards the tower, so you will make it to the modern Jewish ultra-Orthodox neighborhood called Mea Shearim. So this, combination of the third wall and ultra-Orthodox population and Sheikh Jarrah Muslim population, it's all, 3 minutes walk from the old city. And the last one, we never, or maybe not yet, found one thing which is present, and it's pretty obvious on the model, and it is called the theater. Okay, Josephus Flavius describes the theater, the beautiful Roman theater, and that makes sense because there is no Roman city, no proper Roman city with no theater and amphitheater. You have to have some entertainment. So Josephus describes the theater. Professor Aviona placed a theater, and we never ever found it. So maybe we will. We did not, but it is there on the model. That's it. So thank you again for joining me, and thank you for walking the model with me. There is more to this model, but these are the most important parts. Pay as you wish again, and thank you. I will stop sharing. Okay.
Well, Julia, thank you very much for another 6,000-mile armchair tour and learning experience. That's great. Why don't we go through the questions? One question that was posed has to do with, and I'll just answer that up front, has to do where to find the prior episodes, of which there are 121 of them. And the answer is go to tinyurl.com/VFI educates 2, number 2. That will bring it to a web page. That web page contains a complete index that allows you to get all the episodes before they're all up on YouTube. A second way to access the episodes on YouTube is to go to youtube.com/Volunteers for Israel. And there you'll see them all lined up. I suggest you try either one. They both work. And the index is updated, and today's presentation, today's episode, for example, will be live on YouTube in about 2 days, and it'll also be in the index. The index also points to future episodes. It gives you the clickable URL. So if you just click on it at the right time, 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon Eastern, then you get to see us again. So, Julia, I just wanted to put that up because somebody posed a question. Your questions and answers.
Okay, so I see there are some questions regarding tires and other things related to a car. So it's not, it's not for me to answer. Okay, Elliot asked, has the model been moved? I was in Jerusalem 30 years ago, and I don't remember it being in the Israel Museum. You are definitely right, Elliot, because originally, actually, this model moved a few times. It was originally built in not far from La Tourone, the Armor Corps Museum. This is where it started, not inside a museum, but in this area. Later, it was first opened to the public in the courtyard, which belonged to a hotel, which does not exist any longer, but there was a hotel called the Holy Land Hotel. And then some 20 years ago, so they moved it from the hotel because, they closed the hotel. And so you had to do something with the model. So the model was moved to the Israel Museum, and it will probably stay there forever. I mean, this is the natural and the best location. So if you have been there 30 years ago, so no doubt you did not see it, but it is there today. Oh, yeah, Stephen wrote, it used to be in the hotel, the Holy Land Hotel. Right, exactly. Okay, Pamela wrote that we, the tour guides, are very hurt. That's true. And therefore, you're welcome to donate. Yes, this is true. Thank you so much. So Muslims face towards Mecca when they pray, not towards Jerusalem. Yes, of course, this is true because the holiest place for the Muslims is Mecca indeed. I've mentioned that Al-Aqsa, and generally speaking, Jerusalem is the third holiest place because the first is Mecca, the second is Medina. Medina del Nabi. Medina means a city. That's the meaning of the word Medina. So Medina del Nabi is the city of the prophet, and then the third is Jerusalem. So that's true. Interestingly enough, when Islam was very young, I mean, when Islam was just created, okay, by Muhammad. So they did pray towards Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the original direction of prayer for the Muslims. This is how it started. And today, if you ask a Muslim, how do you call Jerusalem? Okay. So they have a few names to it. One of the names is the first direction of prayer. This is a nickname for Jerusalem in Arabic. So what happened was that at some point, when Islam was born, it was first facing Jews. It was first inviting Jews to convert. Muhammad believed that his first followers will be Jews. This never happened. And so at some point, he changed his mind. And so Jerusalem stopped being the direction of prayer, and then he switched to Mecca. And that's the situation ever since. I mean, starting from the times of Muhammad. But yet Jerusalem is very, very holy for quite a few reasons, okay? It is a long story. But yes, they pray towards Mecca, of course. Jody wrote, is there an agreement between Muslims and Jews on the Jewish access to the holiest on Yom Kippur? Okay, so no, the answer is no, and for two reasons. Okay, reason number one is because, three reasons. Reason number one is because there is no holiest of the holy. The holiest of the holy was part of the temple. The temple was ruined almost 2,000 years ago, and therefore, there's nowhere to go. There is no holiest of the holy. And reason number two is only the priest, only the high priest, and only after very, very specific purification rituals was allowed to enter this holiest of the holy. We do not have the high priest. We do not have an ability to perform these rituals, and therefore, Orthodox Jews will not, I'm not talking about the holiest of the holy, but an Orthodox Jew will not even ascend to the Temple Mount because we don't really 100% sure where the walls of the temple, and therefore exactly the walls of the holiest of the holy, and so they will not even walk to the Temple Mount. Those Orthodox Jews who will ascend to the Temple Mount, they will do so in the very, very specific areas. They will not get any closer to the Dome of the Rock because then they might, risk violating the location of the temple, and you must be pure before you enter the temple. All right. Mm-hmm. So there is no question about it because nobody would like to do so. On the other hand, the Muslims, for whom the location of the holiest of the holy, which is the Dome of the Rock, they do not allow anybody who is not Muslim to enter the place, no matter if we're talking about Yom Kippur or Christmas or whatever else. Okay, but this is it is out of the question because nobody actually wants to do that anyhow. Okay, Phyllis, also the Dome of the Rock is a shrine, not a mosque. Okay, Phyllis, you are so right. It is a bit more complicated, but yes, okay. If I want to make it simple, the English word mosque, okay, there's one word for it. Actually, we have two different words in Arabic, which are translated as mosque. All right. So one word, one term is a place of prayer. Okay, let's say like a synagogue or a church for the matter. Okay, it's a place where you pray to God. And the other term is a holy place where you can pray. It's okay to pray, but it's not a prayer house. So we have prayer houses, and some of them can be also holy because they are located on a holy place. And we have holy places where you can pray, but they're not prayer houses. Okay, so Al-Aqsa Mosque is a mosque. Okay, it is a prayer house, but it is also a holy place because the Muslims believe that this is exactly where Muhammad arrived on his night journey from Mecca. So, you know, the place where Muhammad arrived from Mecca is definitely a holy place. So this is the Al-Aqsa. And today, this is where you pray. While the Dome of the Rock is a holy place because he ascended to heavens and brought the prayers, but it is not a mosque. It is not a house of prayer. Okay? But they are incredibly significant for the Muslims, both of them. And actually, if, you know, we are talking about the Temple Mount because this is where the temple used to be. Okay, that's very simple. But if you ask a Muslim, would you call the Temple Mount? They will not call it a Temple Mount, obviously. Okay, they don't care about the temple. So if you ask a Muslim, how do you call it? The place, okay, the whole platform. So there are two answers. One, the whole platform is called Al-Aqsa, same name as a mosque, because the whole platform is used for prayers because the mosque is not big enough for the high holy day, so the whole thing becomes mosque. And the other answer is Haram al-Sharif. Haram al-Sharif means the supreme holy place. And then you can talk about a mosque and a holy place and this and that, and okay, but the whole thing is holy, which does not make it any easier for us. Okay, Road, always heard that Al-Aqsa was number one and Dome of the Rock is hardly ever mentioned. Well, I don't know who hardly mentions it. I mean, definitely not the Muslims. I mean, the Muslims care very much about it, and for a good reason. Okay, Harry, as Julia, do you think in light of tour guides protests, the government will give tourism workers some kind of compensation? Oh, this is a good question. So yeah, there was a protest. I participated as well. And yesterday they announced that they will pay up to 20,000 shekels, which is around almost $7,000 for every tour guide or anybody who works in tourism and lost his job to study. Okay, so they will pay for our education to get another job, which basically means that they don't plan to have any tourists for the next generation or so. I mean, yeah, I mean that these were terrible news for us because we don't really, we don't want to have another job. We do want to be tour guides. But they're willing to pay for us to become something else.
But also, Julia, aren't they giving, I read that they're giving 25 million shekels to pay for 25,000 tours for the general public which will be conducted by tour guides?
I don't know, because we saw two different announcements, and anyhow, nobody could explain how exactly it's going to work. And then what they are willing to pay for these tours, it's not enough for us to make a living. It's
Right.
nothing we can actually, survive with. So, I don't know. Okay, Gary asks, what is the link to part 1 of the presentation? So part 1 is actually the presentation, which was a week ago. So same address, the tiny URL. No, a tiny URL. Steve, please.
I wrote the first one on down below.
Okay.
tinyurl.com/VFI educates 2. Number 2. That'll get you to the index, and just click on episode 121, which was last week.
Okay, great. So this is the part 1, and part 3 is coming in the future. Okay, Sharon wrote the Beitat Kia, okay, the rock with the inscription, with the trumpeting. The Beitat Kia rock looks like it's written in modern Hebrew letters. That's true. Was the original written in ancient Hebrew, or was there no inscription in ancient times? Okay, all right. So the inscription you saw, okay, the rock you saw with the inscription you saw, is the exact 100% accurate replica of the actual stone which was found there. All right, so this is exactly the inscription, the original inscription, and the reason why the letters look like modern is because modern Hebrew letters are exactly the same as the Second Temple period letters. That's exactly the same alphabet, and that's why I can read the Dead Sea Scrolls, because we still use the same letters. So the more ancient alphabet, the alphabet of the First Temple period, is different. So I cannot read inscription which belonged to King Hezekiah. But after the Babylonian exile, when they came back, the Shavei Tzion, when the Jews came back from the Babylonian exile, they brought the Aramaic letters. So we use the same Aramaic letters as our ancestors in the times of King Herod. All right, I hope that explains.
Very good.
Okay, and then Amalia, are they still showing the light show in Migdal David? Yes, of course. Why not? Actually, there are 2 shows, 2 different shows. Both are beautiful. One is older, the other one is like, more recent. And yes, of course. Okay, Esther asked, old city today is half of what? Okay. The old city today is about half of the size of Jerusalem in the Second Temple period. So Jerusalem, the day before the destruction, was twice as big as the old city of Jerusalem today. All right.
I've heard that the old city it's 1 square kilometer. Is that true?
Exactly. That's true. That's precisely true.
It's got to be the most amazing 1 square kilometer in the world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we have libraries written about this 1 square kilometer, right? And people are still writing their PhDs, and people are still, looking forward to another opportunity to do another excavation. Yeah. Okay, Layla asked, I've seen kids playing soccer, yes, of course, and Muslim families making picnic on the Temple Mount, and can't understand how that is holy. What? I'm not sure what should I answer, because there is no contradiction. I mean, they don't play soccer or do a picnic during prayers. They do it in between. This is totally fine. I mean, they're not eating or playing inside the mosques. They do so just outside. And it is part of their lives. It is part of their well-being. It is part of their daily routine. You know, they celebrate holiday, they celebrate birthdays up there, and yes, they play soccer as well. I mean, I don't know how about you guys, but in the village I live in my moshav, you know, there is a synagogue, and the adults pray in the synagogue, and kids play soccer at the yard just outside, and then after the prayer they sit down and have lunch all together.
Yeah.
I see no contradiction, and I guess same is true for the Muslims. So that's it. Yeah. Okay. Phyllis wrote, I think the question about the soccer concerns the idea that the whole platform is holy. Yes, the whole platform is holy, but it doesn't mean that it's not okay to sit, eat, play, and do things as long as there is no prayer. So it's just, you know, maybe it's a question of approach, but it is okay for them. Yeah, well, we ran out of questions. So
Wow.
if there are any other questions or anything you'd like to share, so you're welcome to unmute yourself. And oh yeah, I forgot actually, we lost so many people, and I forgot. I was just overwhelmed with you know, my struggle to get here. So I forgot to mention our next presentation next week, which is expected to be very interesting. And it will be about memorials. It will be about military memorials in the northern part of Israel. It will be by Noam Tamir, who is a former military. He's a former pilot. He is a tour guide. He's a great person, just, you know, as a human being. And he will be talking about the memorials. And the idea was to tell you a little bit about the artists, the artistic approach, and the way the artistic approach helps us to connect and understand and commemorate the different wars. So in the end of that presentation, you will hopefully be more familiar with artists and art and the battles. You know, the various battles during the last 70-something years of our existence. So that's next week.
Julia,
And
can
the
you
week, yeah, sorry.
Can you put your PayPal on again? Someone wants to see it.
Sure, with pleasure. Okay, so
Well, Julia, thank you very much for adjusting so quickly to your new environment. I don't know if you're going tonight.
well, Sharana was here to help me.
Yeah, and thank you for Sharana for accommodating Julia today. I hope you feed her breakfast.
You're talking about dinner, actually.
Dinner, all right, and jumping to a seamless presentation under all these changing things. That's great. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, Esther wrote. Sorry, Esther wrote that you skipped my question. That's true. So sorry, I did not see it, I guess. Regarding the old city disregard. What? What are the steps at the end of Siloam Pool? Yeah, the Shiloh. I'm not sure which stairs you're talking about, because I was talking about two different stairs. Okay, so one staircase, the narrower one, the steep one, is a modern staircase which leads you from the exit of the Hezekiah's tunnel. I mean, if you walk inside the Hezekiah's tunnel with water and darkness, and then you finally make it back to the daylight. So then there are modern stairs which lead you upstairs just, you know, to get out of there. By the way, it also brings you to a mosque and a playground. Okay, but that's another story. Anyhow, these are the modern staircases. And the other stairs I was showing, there are some 3 steps or something like that. These are the steps which belong to the Siloam Pool as it was made by King Herod the Great. And these are the stairs we see today when we come to Siloam Pool from the modern street level. So we have modern stairs and we have the ancient archaeological stairs.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
And
thank you all. Yeah, thank you all for such a rich assortment of questions today. Wow. You know, we should mention, and I think we might have Julie mentioned it last time, is that we were scheduled to end season 2 on December 31st, and we will. However, season 3 will start on January 6th, which I think is a Thursday, and will run for 3 months until the end of March. So don't go away. All the URLs I gave you will still work. All the tiny URLs will still work. And we're looking forward to having a interesting time next year with a whole collection of new topics to look at.